A researcher once filmed a dog waiting by the door every single day for its owner. Same time, same spot, same hopeful eyes. But the owner had been gone for months. The dog didn't know that. And what that dog was experiencing on the inside, the science behind it, will completely change how you look at your dog tonight. Welcome to Canine Dog Talk. If you care about your dog's emotional world, subscribe right now. We go deep into the psychology behind your dog's behavior every single week. Now, let's talk about something most dog owners never think about. You love your dog. That part is obvious. But love and understanding are two completely different things. And right now, without realizing it, you might be doing things every single day that are quietly breaking your dog's heart. 7 things, backed by real canine psychology, that hurt your dog's feelings more than you know. And some of them are so common, so everyday, that when you hear them, you're going to feel it in your chest. Let's start with the one that causes the most damage, and the one that almost no one talks about: leaving them alone too long. Here's what the science actually says. Dogs are not solitary creatures, not even close. In the wild, no healthy dog ever chooses isolation. The pack is everything. It's safety, warmth, communication, life itself. So when you leave your dog home alone for hours on end, day after day, what you're creating inside that animal is not boredom. It's a genuine emotional crisis.
Researchers studying canine cortisol, the stress hormone, found that dogs left alone for long periods show stress responses that are physiologically similar to grief, not mild discomfort. Grief. They don't understand why the pack disappeared. They only know that the most important living beings in their world are gone, and they have no idea why, and they have no idea if you're coming back. Now, here's what makes this even harder to spot. Not every dog barks. Not every dog destroys furniture. Some dogs just go quiet. They stop playing. They sleep more than they should. They greet you at the door with less energy each time. And owners see that and think the dog is just getting older, just calming down. But what's actually happening is the emotional light in that dog is slowly dimming. If your schedule means your dog spends a lot of time alone, there are ways to soften the blow. Leave something behind with your scent. A worn shirt, a blanket you've slept on. Use puzzle feeders and enrichment toys to keep their mind active. Create a predictable routine so the departure itself becomes less of a shock. And when you come home, make that reunion feel like it means something. Because to your dog, it means everything. But separation isn't the only way we pull the emotional rug out from under them. The second thing on this list happens even when you're right there in the room: emotional shutdown. And what your dog reads into it. Think about the last time you had a really hard day. You came home tense, distracted, short. Maybe you didn't pet your dog. Maybe you walked past them without a word. Maybe you sat on the couch and stared at your phone and the dog came over and nudged your hand and you just didn't respond. To you, that's a rough evening. To your dog, it's a punishment they don't understand. Dog behaviorists have confirmed that dogs process human emotional cues using the same hemisphere of the brain humans do, the left side, which handles emotional recognition. They are reading your face, your posture, the sound of your sighs, the speed of your footsteps, all of it. And when the emotional signals they receive are cold or absent, their first assumption always is that they did something wrong. Silence in dog psychology registers as a social penalty. And repeated experiences of that emotional withdrawal can create anxiety, clinginess, or the opposite. Dogs who eventually stop trying to connect because the connection keeps leading to confusion. You don't have to perform happiness when you're exhausted. But a few soft words, a brief moment of acknowledgement tells your dog everything is okay. It costs you almost nothing. To them, it's the difference between security and self-doubt. Now, the third thing, and this one makes people defensive because almost everyone has done it: yelling, or even just using sharp, harsh tones. Here's the thing people get wrong. They think raising their voice communicates authority. In human-to-human dynamics, that might carry some weight. In dog psychology, it does not. What a raised voice actually communicates is unpredictability. And unpredictability is one of the most threatening things a dog can experience from a trusted human. When a dog hears sudden yelling, their cortisol spikes immediately. Their heart rate goes up. Their body goes into a low-level threat response. And if this happens regularly, the brain begins to wire itself for constant alertness around that person. Neither of those is the dog you want, and neither of those is the relationship your dog deserves. What actually works is consistency and tone. Calm, clear, firm. Dogs respond to the confidence behind a voice, not the volume. Positive reinforcement builds behavior because it builds trust. Fear builds behavior too, but it builds a dog who obeys because they're scared, not because they love you. And you'll feel the difference every single day. We're at the halfway point, and the next one might be the most underestimated on this entire list. Rushing walks or treating them like a chore. For you, a walk is 15 minutes outside before work. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's just getting it over with. For your dog, that walk is the single most mentally stimulating part of their entire day. And the part you probably cut short is the exact part they need most. Dogs have over 200 million scent receptors in their nose. Humans have around 5 million. When your dog stops to sniff a patch of grass for 45 seconds, they are not wasting time. They are reading a full story. Who was here? What animal passed through, whether that other dog is healthy or scared or new to the neighborhood. Sniffing is how dogs decompress. It activates the calming systems in their brain. A 10-minute slow sniff walk does more for your dog's nervous system than a 30-minute fast jog where you kept pulling them forward. When you drag them away from every sniff, what your dog experiences is a constant interruption of something deeply satisfying. Over time, walks start to feel less like freedom and more like being told to hurry up through the one thing they actually enjoy. That frustration accumulates. It shows up as restlessness at home, pent-up energy, behavioral issues that seem to come from nowhere. Give them the sniff. Slow down. Let them lead sometimes. A walk where your dog gets to actually be a dog is worth more than you know. Now the fifth thing, and this is the one that canine psychologists call the hidden root of most behavioral problems. Not letting your dog be who they actually are. Every dog is an individual. That's not a metaphor. It's neurological fact. Some dogs are introverted. Some are extroverted. Some are wired for stimulation. Others are easily overwhelmed. Some need a job. Some need quiet. Some want to be the center of every social situation. Some would rather be next to you on the couch than anywhere else on earth. The problem is that owners often have an idea of what their dog should be. And when the real dog doesn't match that idea, they start correcting, suppressing, redirecting. The dog who loves to run is forced to stay still. The anxious dog is pushed into crowded dog parks because the owner thinks exposure will help. The dog who's intensely bonded is labeled too clingy and pushed away. The dog who's naturally independent is chased around the house for cuddles they never wanted. Canine psychologists call this emotional suppression, and it's not harmless. When a dog is repeatedly prevented from expressing its core nature, behavioral problems follow. Not because the dog is broken, because the dog is unfulfilled, because every attempt to be itself has been rejected. That kind of sustained mismatch between who a dog is and what they are allowed to be creates a chronic low-level stress that owners never quite identify because they're too busy trying to fix the symptoms. The shift is simple but profound. Observe your dog. Study what actually brings them alive. Build your relationship around that dog, not the dog you imagined. When you do that, something opens up. They trust you more. They're more relaxed. They are more responsive because they finally feel seen. Two left, and they're connected in a way you might not expect. Inconsistent rules and mixed signals. One day the couch is fine. The next day it's not. One afternoon, jumping up gets a laugh and a hug. The next morning, the same jump gets a firm no and a push away. You think your dog is being stubborn or forgetful. What's actually happening is they're experiencing a world that keeps changing the rules with no explanation. Dogs are hardwired to find patterns. Their emotional security is built on predictability. Knowing what gets rewarded, what gets corrected, what's safe. The anxiety that follows isn't dramatic. It's quiet. Dog that seems tense for no reason. A dog that hesitates before doing things they used to do confidently. A dog that watches you a little too closely, trying to figure out today's version of the rules. Decide what the rules are. Commit to them as a household. Your dog will relax almost immediately once consistency returns. They're not asking for much, just a world they can understand. And the seventh thing, the one that's easiest to overlook because it feels like nothing, not making eye contact, not building in real moments of connection. When your dog looks into your eyes, something measurable happens in both of you. Studies have confirmed that mutual gaze between dogs and their owners triggers an oxytocin release in the dog and in the human. The same bonding hormone, the same neurochemical response that connects parents to newborns. It's not just sweet, it's biological. It's how trust gets built and maintained at the deepest level. When you're always distracted, phone in hand, rushing through feeding, half present during play, your dog notices. And what they feel over time isn't just low-level disappointment. Research shows that dogs who consistently lack positive attention from their primary person can develop depressive symptoms. Less appetite, less play, more sleep. A kind of quiet sadness that owners chalk up to personality when it's actually response. You don't need to carve out an hour. A few minutes of real presence, eyes on their eyes, voice soft, hands slow, does more for your dog's emotional health than almost anything else you could give them. Here's the thing about everything we just covered. None of it requires cruelty. None of it comes from the bad owner. Almost every single one of these mistakes comes from simply not knowing what's happening on the other side of that relationship. Dogs feel love. They feel loneliness. They feel confusion, frustration, relief, and joy. The more fluent you become in their emotional language, the more that bond becomes something genuinely extraordinary. So, take one thing from this. Just one: slow down on the next walk. Soften your tone this week. Make eye contact tonight and mean it.